Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Lech Lecha, Go for yourself, or is it Go to yourself? The third Torah portion in the book of Bereshit, Genesis. Here we meet Avraham, who had been briefly introduced to us from out of nowhere, from anonymity, out of Or Kasdim, at the end of last week's portion of Noach. As our portion of Lech Lecha opens, Avraham, whose name is later changed by God to Avraham, as we will know him, he now journeys at God's behest from his birthplace to the land that God will lead him to. We witnessed the passing of 10 generations from Adam to Noah. By Noah's time, with the exception of that righteous individual, man had totally severed his connection to God and ultimately totally denied God's existence. And yet, after the flood as well, even after humanity had been divinely reset, mankind was still lost in disbelief. As another 10 generations progress from Noah to Abraham, the world is bereft of any knowledge of the one God, and no one is taking responsibility. So, as our sages put it, God had no one to talk to, and no one was looking for him. Until Abraham, the great and original spiritual trailblazer, burst upon the scene. Abraham was self-taught. Through his own brutally honest analysis and burning desire for truth, he examined the universe and determined that it had to be the product of intelligent design. He discerned the way of truth and knew God through his own understanding. He traveled extensively and examined all the world's teachings and philosophies and false doctrines, and he came to the conclusion that there is one God who is the sum total of reality. Avraham was driven not only by his intellect but by his great heart and spirit. It was his own faith that brought him to the reality of God. Avraham understood that there is one God who created everything and who runs the world. And he knew that this God is intimately involved in our lives. As our sages teach, he was the first one to call Hashem Master. His sincerity caused the Master himself to reveal himself to Avraham, and he illuminated his path. Our sages fill in the backstory of Avraham's emergence from Ur Kasdim, veiled reference to his being thrown into the fiery furnace of King Nimrod, Earth's most prominent ruling authority, who, in an effort to find a final solution, condemned Avraham to death, perhaps in a foreshadowing of the evil forces throughout history that would try to effectively deal with the Jewish problem, that problem being our unshakable belief in the one God. And here, Nimrod moved to deal with it before it gets off the ground. But Abraham emerged unscathed. Nothing could stop him from spreading his ideas, not the decree of Nimrod, not the war of 4 and 5 kings, not descent into Egypt and Pharaoh's manipulation. Even when documenting the very beginning of Abraham's career, one feature that stands out in the Torah's description of him is the man's overwhelmingly proactive nature. Compare his actions to those of his father Terach. At the end of Parashat Noach, Terach begins to travel in the direction of the land of Canaan, but stops before reaching there. And Terach took Avraham his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, the wife of Avraham his son, and he went out with them from Or Kasdim to travel to the land of Canaan. And they reached Canaan and dwelled there. And Terach died, and they reached Haran and dwelled there, and Terach died in Haran. That's what we learned in the end of chapter 11. In contrast to this, verse 5 at the beginning of our parsha, speaking of Avraham, has an entirely different ending. And Avram took his wife Sarai, and Lot his nephew, and all their property, and the souls which they made in Haran, and they left to travel to the land of Canaan, and they arrived at the land of Canaan. Avraham, we shall see, always finishes what he started. And who are those souls which they made in Haran? How does a human being make souls? That's actually what the verse says, the souls that they made. This refers to all those people whom Avram and Sarai brought to an awareness of Hashem. The expression, as Rashi cites it, they brought them under the wings of the Shekhinah, the divine presence. Avraham is called by our rabbis the first of the converts, and he converted masses of humanity to the belief and faith in one God. What an amazing individual was this man, our forefather Avraham. Avraham is revealed in our parsha as a man who, by the light of his faith and values, in the wake of the divine command. He acts and does without hesitation and without fatigue, with strength emanating from some inner power. Even in the first 3 verses of our Parsha, look at the verbs. And he went, and he took, and they went, and he passed, and he built, and he removed from there, and he built, and he called, and he traveled. He's a doer. The model that Avraham set for serving Hashem, it might appear as a great challenge to us. It's a hard act to follow. It's only natural for a person to want to take it easy once in a while, lighten up a bit, minimize his activity, and get tired, to be proactive only when necessary. But Avraham never slows down as he's constantly beset by new challenges. Avraham Avinu, Abraham our father, is known as a man of chesed, of kindness. That's his overwhelming attribute. Truly clinging to the characteristic of kindness means doing and acting and creating good in the world, not out of necessity or obligation, but out of a desire to act and do. So this consistently emphasized idea, deeply embedded in Torah literature and thought, that Avraham is virtually synonymous with the trait of chesed, of kindness. What does that really mean? And what's it all about? Abraham is indeed the true man of kindness, and it's connected to his worldview, or more precisely, to his understanding of God, the God that he discovered on his own. So open up your heart in the deepest way. The beginning of Parashat Vayera, which we shall be learning next week, opens as Avraham, on the 3rd and most painful day following his circumcision at the age of 99, sitting in his tent open to all 4 directions, actively seeking guests to bestow hospitality upon them, meaning a true man of kindness such as Avraham Avinu doesn't wait for someone to show up at his door, but actively looks for opportunities to help and to serve and to be of assistance. True, no one was about in the blistering heat which God manufactured, especially in consideration of Avram's condition, and Avram was so disappointed that nobody was around that his friend God had to send 3 angels in the guise of men to be Avraham's guests. But a strong desire to do good in the world is not enough for a true man of kindness. He needs an inner strength to enable him to finish what he starts. True acts of kindness are an emulation of God's own kindness, and God always finishes what he starts. Some people are good starters, but they don't see it through to completion. Perhaps this is why in Psalm 89, a psalm which is all about Abraham, there Abraham is called by the moniker Eitan. Eitan the Ezrachite, the citizen of the world who took responsibility for the world. The word Eitan means strong, forceful. Similarly, the prophet Isaiah calls Avraham a tzur, a rock, denoting strength and resolve. Look to the rock from which you are hewn. Look to Abraham, your forefather, Isaiah 51. Now, Abraham was thrown into the fiery furnace of Nimrod and was unharmed. We believe this story to be literal, not legend, a literal miracle. Yet on a symbolic level, as we understand Abraham more and more and grow to appreciate him, we can note that the nature of fire is to change things from one state to another. But the inner strength, which was the source of Abraham's faith, rendered him literally unchangeable. It was the same quality that enabled him to start things and to finish what he started. I'd like to focus on only one perplexing verse in our portion, in chapter 15. Before the covenant between the portions, God promises Avraham, the then childless, in point of fact, the then barren Avraham, he promises him that his offspring will be as numerous as the stars. In verse 6 we read, "And he believed in Hashem, and he, Hashem, accounted it to him as righteousness." What does that mean? And he believed in Hashem, and he accounted it to him as righteousness. What was it about Abraham's belief in Hashem's promise to him that was so special? So open up your heart in the deepest way. Avraham embodied 2 special qualities. One quality is the aspect of his Emunah, his belief, his faith in God. Avraham is literally the founder and head of all those who believe in Hashem in the world. This is what Avraham brought to the world, and his life's work was to make Hashem's godliness, the reality of his being, known in the world. And his emphasis the way he went about this, his emphasis was opening up people's eyes to Hashem's kindness and demonstrating thankfulness for his kindness. Thus our sages teach that Avraham actively sought guests to eat in his home, ostensibly because he wanted to emulate God's kindness, but that whoever ate in his home, Abraham refused all thanks, but taught the person to bless the one who created the world, from whom we receive all sustenance. And thus the second quality associated with Abraham is chesed, kindness. Together with his faith, kindness is the trait which is owned by Avraham, for which he is known. As the prophet Micha, chapter 7 and verse 20 states, grant truth to Jacob, kindness to Avraham. Avraham is called the man of kindness. This is the trait we associate with him, but not simply because of his constant striving to perform acts of kindness. Avraham literally brought Hashem's attribute of kindness into the world and magnified it, amplified it. He channeled divine kindness into this world, and all the while that he was in the world, he was the channel. But is Abraham's faith and his aspect of kindness two separate, distinct qualities, or are they connected? This is so deep. This may be the deepest and most important thing that we've ever learned, because it has to do with our perception of God, how we view the world, and whether we actively seek out opportunities for kindness. So everybody knows that our sages speak about the marked contrast, the differences the Torah demonstrates between Abraham and Noah. These differences reflect differences not simply in their worldviews, but in their understanding of Hashem's relationship with the world, with Hashem's worldview, even with his purpose in creation altogether. And the lesson has tremendous ramifications for us as well. Regarding Noah, Torah states in the beginning of Parashat Noach, Genesis chapter 6 and verse 9, God walked with Noah. Now, God walking with Noah means that Noah needed God's support and help in order to maintain his own walk. Regarding Avraham, later in Parashat Sarah, chapter 24 and verse 40, we will encounter the verse wherein Abraham states, Hashem, before whom I have walked. So God walked with Noah, and Abraham walked before Hashem. Now, nowhere in the Torah do we find that Noah prayed at all for his generation to be spared destruction. During all the 120 years in which Noah was, by divine command, daily occupied with the building of the ark, long years in which he was surely confronted by and engaged with the people, he did not petition Hashem to change the decree, in marked, stark contrast to Avraham. Torah testifies and records that Avraham prayed to Hashem to cancel the destruction of Sodom. Quite famous is the Midrashic teaching which relates that when Noah exited the ark after the flood and beheld the state of the world's destruction, he cried out to God, "You're merciful. Why did you not have mercy on the world?" To which, Midrash relates, God responded, "Fool, why didn't you ask before? Now, after the destruction, you're asking?" And it's seriously a really good question. Why didn't Noah ask for mercy when Hashem first told him, "The end of all flesh has come before me, and behold, I am about to destroy them from the earth," as we find in Genesis 6:13. Why did he just get the idea of praying now? So if you open up your hearts in deepest way, you'll see that the Torah is showing us that there are two different types of Emunah, of belief, being manifest here in the persons of Noah and Abraham. There are two types of belief. One level, one path of belief, is the person who believes that Hashem is unique, that he created the world from nothing and continues to run the world, rewarding the righteous and punishing the wicked. But this person mistakenly thinks that Hashem has another purpose for all this, that he gets something out of it. The second path of Emunah, of belief, is the belief that Hashem created and runs the world solely because of the idea expressed in Psalms 89 and verse 3. The idea is Olam chesed yiboneh, which perhaps literally means, perhaps it's literally translated as forever will it be built with kindness, but which really conveys the concept that Hashem's chesed, his attribute of kindness, is the foundation of and the very reason for the creation of the world. So read it as Olam. The world is built through kindness. This means that Hashem himself is completely complete and perfect, and he doesn't need his world. Nobody's doing him any favor. Only created the world out of kindness to bestow goodness upon man. Indeed, Hashem stated to Avraham in our portion, chapter 17 and verse 1, I am El Shaddai. The name Shaddai is a holy name. It's based on the Hebrew word dai, meaning enough. That is to say, as it were, I have enough in my godliness. That is enough for me. Hashem saying that I have no need for anything. All of my creations are my results, and their existence is only through me. But I am the source of existence. All need me, but I need nothing. That's the true meaning of the holy name Shaddai. And the meaning of this is so deep, meaning, as this divine name reflects, there really is no independent force in this world. All that exists and functions is through the power of Hashem, but he is complete. He receives nothing from his creations. And this is the distinct difference between the belief of Noah and the belief of Abraham. So open up your heart and follow this very closely. Regarding Noah, Torah states, and God walked with Noah. Our sages teach that on some level, even Noah did not completely believe that the flood would come. And this statement in no way casts any shadow on Noah's righteousness, which the verses of the Torah themselves bear witness to. He believed that Hashem is all-powerful and that he brought forth all of creation into existence. But Noah still did not comprehend that Olam chesed yiboneh, that the purpose of creation is kindness, that Hashem doesn't need this world, and it's only on account of his chesed, his kindness, that he created the world. Now listen. As a result of Noah's worldview, meaning his path of Emunah, he therefore believed that indeed Hashem created this world and runs it with reward and punishment in order to fulfill the purpose for which he created the world, like the verse in Proverbs 29. Verse 4 states, through justice a king establishes a land. But as a result of his thinking, when in time all of creation was guilty of committing grave sins, and Hashem declared, the end of all flesh has come before me, and behold, I will destroy the earth. From this, Noah understood that the world has fulfilled Hashem's purpose for which he created it, as it were, and therefore, what would it help? What would it accomplish to ask Hashem to exercise his mercy? The world was created for Hashem's purpose, whatever that is, and since he has deemed that it has not fulfilled that purpose, it has no reason, no validation to continue to exist. But the patriarch Abraham believed not only that Hashem created the world and continues to constantly recreate it, but that the entire purpose of creation is Olam chesed yiboneh. It's all nothing but the greatest manifestation of divine kindness, all in order for Hashem's attribute of kindness to be revealed to man. And Avraham believed that the manner in which Hashem runs the world is through his attribute of kindness, and thus, even in a situation in which humanity, the recipient of divine kindness, has lost its way and is mired in grave sin, Abraham believed that mercy and kindness are still an option, still on the table, since the revelation of mercy and kindness is the entire purpose of creation. And Hashem demonstrating kindness in the midst of sin also reflects his purpose of chesed, and therefore it was fitting and proper, Abraham deemed, to pray for kindness for the people of Sodom. Thus, when Noah exited the ark and was confronted by the state of the world's destruction, when he perceived that not only had all of life been erased, but that the physical world itself had been reset, that creation would be starting all over again, the original order had been changed to something new, now he understood that whatever was previously in place, as far as God's relating to the world, it was now gone, and that a new creation had begun. And he now understood with a great shock that the fact that he remained in the world was not on account of his good deeds, but that he, Noah, had been the beneficiary of God's mercy for its own sake. As Torah states, Hashem said, I regret that I made them, and Noah too would have been considered worthy of having been included, sealed for that fate along with the rest of creation for destruction, had it not been for Hashem's kindness. And so now he finally understood in the deepest way that the basis and sum total of all creation is indeed chesed, Hashem's kindness, and that's why Noah's own attribute of mercy was now aroused. And so now he's asking his question, why didn't you have mercy on the generation of the flood? Since I realize it's now obvious to me that all of creation is for kindness' sake, Hashem, you could have employed that attribute and saved them. But Hashem, as reflected in the Midrash, said to Noah basically, too little, too late. Why didn't you ask until now? Why did it take you until now to internalize true Emunah? To realize the truth of Olam, chesed, yiboneh, that the foundation of everything is kindness, until now. When Hashem told Noah, for you alone, I have seen righteous before me in this generation, Noah thought he was being saved on account of his deeds. But that wasn't it. He was being saved on account of Hashem's mercy. But Noah didn't get it yet. He didn't get it that Olam, chesed, yiboneh means that kindness makes the world go round. And therefore he didn't pray for mercy. But now that he understood all of this in the deepest way, he asks, why didn't you exercise mercy and save the world? And this is the deepest thing in the world. Hashem answers him, you didn't ask me. Someone needs to channel this attribute into the world through prayer and through action. This is the attribute of Abraham, his belief in Hashem, which God accounted to him as righteousness. This is the foundation of existence. You know, at times we perceive much contradiction in this world and a lack of kindness. We see often with hindsight, if at all. But the total revelation of the true nature of Hashem's kindness is only reflected in the future rectified world. But Abraham, the true man of kindness, teaches us that believing in Hashem's kindness as his goal and motivation for existence makes all the difference to the world and makes all the difference to man. True Emunah, belief in God, means that the world is founded on and spins on and continues on Hashem's kindness. And like our father Avraham, it's up to us to emulate and channel Olam, chesed, yiboneh. The world is built on kindness.